Okay, we're going to talk about importing colors now and setting the colors in your document. So let's take another look at that artwork here. So as I'm looking at the artwork, it looks like we've got, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, around 6, maybe 7 colors in the original color scheme. And we can try and preserve those colors for the purposes of creating this file. If we're a little off, we're a little off. Again, this is really just an exercise. It's not, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'll show you a couple ways you can do this using either tools on the web or tools you've got on your computer. And we can try to mimic this color scheme that they're using here. Now, if you were actually working on a project where you weren't trying to replicate a design, you were trying to do your own design, you would start by using a tool like this. This is the Session College website that has a color wheel on it. And you can either put a hex code in here or you can set CMYK RGB values. We're going to talk more about this in class. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And this is typically the format you use to define colors for print projects. RGB is red, green, blue. That's typically what you use for something that's going to be displayed on the screen. And you can convert between these two, not always perfectly, but it can be done. We're probably just going to put in RGB values because, again, this is just an exercise. This is not actually even going to be printed. It's just for the purposes of setting up something for you to do for your nutrition label exercise. So if you were starting on your own, you'd pick a color, maybe something purple, kind of like the design, and then you can choose which colors you want the color wheel to generate for you. So you can get a complementary color, monochromatic, analogous, and if you want more, I think you can even, I'll only give you 3 for analogous. Split complementary, triad, and then a tetradic color scheme. Oh, that's kind of cool. So that's what you do if you were working on a project that you were designing yourself. You would use this to get some ideas for colors. Otherwise, if you're just trying to replicate a color, you can use a tool like this on the web where you click into the image and then it'll zoom in quite large. Now, you want to be aware when you're using color pickers like this because depending on where you click in the image, you might get a thin line or something like that. You can see it's very pixelated here, but it's going to change the color code that it generates because if I move just a little bit over, just a little bit over here, and pick a new color, see that's much lighter than the color that I had before. So if you're sampling colors like this, that's something to be aware of. This one, this HTML-color.codes, I like this one a little bit better because it'll use an algorithm to try and grab the most common colors in the design. And we can give it a shot here. I'll drag my logo that I captured from the screen into here. And let's see. Those colors look pretty good. So it looks like we've got the base background color. This doesn't exactly look like the lighter background color. We've got the accent blue. Then we've got the purple from the font, the pink color from the wafer, although that doesn't look quite right either. We might have to make some modifications as we're going, but we don't even have an element yet on the page that's using the pink. That's just pulled right from the logo. And then this color, I don't know what that is. And we didn't get the yellow either, so we could try and sample that if we wanted to. But it's kind of hard to sample it in such a small screen. Yeah, that doesn't look quite right. I'll show you another way to sample here. I'm going to open up a new tab in Chrome, and I'm just going to drag the logo into it. So all I did was open a tab in Chrome and then drag the logo in, and then we'll talk more about this when we get to web design, but you can use the Chrome developer tool here, and I'll just put in color yellow. It doesn't matter what you put in here because we're really just trying to use this color picking tool, and that'll give us a little bit better utility to try and pick that color. Okay, so this looks pretty good. We've got the hex code, which is for use on the web, but let's swap that out to, I guess, RGB is our only choice that's going to work. And we could convert, but there's no real need to. So I'm just going to move this. I don't know. I don't have my windows really configured in such a way that it's going to be easy to have all of this open at once. But let me try and make some room so that we can see both at once. Oops. Okay. So I'll move this back over. This is from our color picking utility in Chrome, and I'm going to go to Edit and then down to Colors, and that'll open this up. These are the colors they give you, just the base colors in Scribus, but they don't give you anything else. So anything else, any other colors you want, you need to either create or import from another file, and I'll show you how to do both. So I'm just going to call this one Yellow Text Outline or something like that, so that it's differentiated in the list of colors from just plain yellow. Right now it's set to CMYK. I'll just put it down to RGB. Again, if we were doing this for something we were actually going to print, we'd use CMYK because that's the color profile or the model that's more in tune with how printers print, and it'll give us a better representation. It should be noted, though, that the CMYK value is not going to be displayed on the screen anyway. You're going to see the RGB value because that's what the monitor is showing you. So there's always going to be a difference between the colors as they look on the printed page and as they look on the screen, especially because monitors are backlit, so they make colors much more vibrant. Let's put in our values for RGB. So I've got R value 244, oops, and then I'll just tab over 227 for green, and then blue is 87. And that looks pretty close. It might be a little too dark. You can adjust it. That's too pale. Why don't we just keep it what I picked out of the image, 87. So that's our text outline color. And then if you wanted to then change something, oops, you have to close that out before you can do anything else. If you wanted to change, say, this text, let's get in here and I'll do Control A to highlight it all, and then I'll go to Color and Effects. So you can pick the stroke color or the fill color, and then you can pick the outline color as well. Now, to do text outline, you have to specify that the text should have an outline, and then you have to decide what percentage of the stroke width you want the outline to be. We'll get to that when we get to the part where we talk about managing text and entering text in text frames. Let's just change this to the text outline color. Yeah, it looks maybe a little bit too green to me, but once we put the colors together, we can get a more accurate representation of what they're going to look like. Now, if you're working on a project, let's say you're designing something like this, a box, and or even say like a letterhead for a company, and then you're designing something on the web, or maybe a promotional flyer that they're going to be sending out, or business cards or something like that, and you already developed your color profiles. You've got your palette set, and you don't want to go through the hassle of re-entering all these colors by hand. You can go to Edit, Colors, and then go to Import, and you can find, so here's the other project I'm working on. This is the box, but I'm working on it separately from this file so that you can see all the steps. I'm just going to pick this file, though, because this already has all of the colors, and when you double click on that, you're going to see I have all of the colors in here. Now, I went with a darker color. I can see already. Can I make this bigger so we can see the names? There we go. I went with a darker color for the text outline up here, so I'm just going to get rid of this one. A lot of times when you're trying to mimic a design, you have to just sort of eyeball the colors at the end, because whatever the picker tool you're using, you're going to get various values depending on where you click in the image, especially if it's something that was drawn by hand or illustrated using an Illustrator application. because people apply gradients, they apply lines, they apply texture to the image. So all of those things are going to impact which color you're actually going to get. But color picking is pretty useful, especially if you're just trying to get a main color and a couple accent colors out of an image to complement that image in the design of your document. So why don't we change this text now that I have my color palette. Let me change this text to the purple color, and then we can decide whether or not it's close enough. Oops, I'm not seeing the new colors here. Maybe I have to close that out. Edit. Let me just make sure that I have all the colors in there. No, I lost them somehow. Let me try that again. Okay. Just go back and make sure that they're still in there. Okay, I must have hit cancel instead of okay. Let's go back here. I'm going to bring up my properties menu, F2, colors, and then let's go with the royal purple color for the text, and then we can hold up the logo next to it. And it looks like we're pretty close. It might be a very slight difference between the text here and the image from the logo. But again, this is for the purpose of a class exercise, so it's not vital that we get an exact match to the still from the cartoon frame. So that's the process you go through when you want to identify and add colors. And again, using a program like a color wheel or something like that will help you to simplify that process by giving you the complementary colors or the color profile that you're looking for without having to actually go through and manually look at colors until you're sick of looking at the colors. So that's the process for creating a new color, for picking a color out of an existing design, and also the process for adding a color palette from another project that you're working on in Scribus if you already have that palette set for a variety of other projects that you're doing for either yourself or a client. And that's the end of this tutorial.